How behavior shapes primate evolution. The key to understanding hominins. What if I told you that the way our ancestors ate could shape their very bones? Recent discoveries are flipping the script on how we think about evolution, revealing that behavior, specifically dietary choices, might be the unsung hero behind the physical changes that define primates, including humans. A groundbreaking study by Luke Fannin and his team has uncovered a jaw-dropping twist. Early primates, including hominins, started munching on grasses millions of years before their teeth and jaws evolved to handle such a tough diet. This revelation isn't just a footnote in evolutionary biology. It's a seismic shift in how we understand the dance between behavior and anatomy. But here's where it gets controversial. Could it be that our ancestors weren't just adapting to their environment, but actively shaping their own evolution through what they chose to eat? Let's dive into this mind-bending idea and see why it's sparking debates among scientists and history buffs alike. For decades, evolutionary biologists have debated whether physical traits evolve first, forcing animals into new behaviors, or if behaviors come first, pulling anatomical changes along in their wake. The behavioral drive hypothesis, a theory that's floated around for years, suggests the latter, that animals might start doing something new, like eating grasses, and over time their bodies catch up. But proving this has been like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. Most of what we know about ancient diets comes from studying fossils, which are all about shape and structure, leaving us to guess at the behaviors behind them. This circular reasoning has made it tough to untangle cause from effect. And this is the part most people miss. The study by Fannin's team used a clever workaround to crack this problem wide open. The key was focusing on grass-eating primates from the Pliocene epoch, a time when many species started shifting towards C4 plants like grasses. You might wonder, why grasses? Well, grasses are tough on teeth. They're abrasive, fibrous, and require specialized dental tools to process. But here's the kicker. The primates in question didn't have those tools. Their teeth looked more suited for softer foods. This mismatch between diet and anatomy was the clue that led Fannin and his team to ask, what if the diet came first and the teeth evolved later? To test this, they turned to stable isotope analysis, a technique that reads the chemical fingerprints in fossilized teeth to reveal what ancient animals ate. By comparing carbon isotopes from C3 plants, like trees and shrubs, and C4 plants, like grasses, they could track when and how grasses entered the menu. The results? A staggering 700,000-year gap between the first signs of grass consumption and the evolution of teeth designed to handle it. This time lag isn't just a curiosity. It's a smoking gun for the behavioral drive theory. It suggests that early primates didn't wait for perfect teeth before trying grasses. Instead, they experimented with new food sources, and only later did natural selection fine-tune their anatomy to match. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. You start with wobbles and scrapes, but eventually your muscles and balance adapt. In this case, the scrapes were the wear and tear on their teeth, and the adaptation was evolving stronger, more efficient dental structures. But what does this mean for human evolution? The study's implications stretch back to our own family tree. The ancestors of Paranthropus and Homo, two pivotal genera in our lineage, show similar patterns of dietary flexibility. Unlike their descendants, who became specialists for grass-heavy diets, these early hominins were generalists. This adaptability might have been their secret weapon, allowing them to survive in ever-changing environments. And here's a provocative thought. Could this same flexibility have set the stage for the rise of Homo sapiens? By being open to new food sources, our ancestors might have unlocked ecological niches that others couldn't access, giving them a survival edge. But does this mean we're overrating the role of physical traits in human evolution? Some researchers argue that tools and culture played an even bigger role. What do you think? The study's methodology itself is a game changer. By combining isotopic data with detailed anatomical analysis, the team created a timeline that shows behavior preceding morphology. This approach isn't just about studying teeth. It's about listening to the whispers of ancient diets trapped in molecules. It challenges the long-held assumption that fossils are the only reliable record of the past. Instead, they're arguing that we need to look beyond bones and into the chemistry of what our ancestors ate. This could revolutionize how we study other evolutionary transitions, from the rise of carnivores to the spread of agriculture. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The debate is far from over. Critics might argue that the isotopic evidence is indirect, or that other factors like climate change could explain the dietary shifts. And that's the beauty of science. It's messy, full of questions, and ripe for discussion. So, what's next? If behavior can drive evolution, what other traits might we have misattributed to physical necessity? Could the same principle apply to brain size, tool use, or even social structures? The study opens a Pandora's box of possibilities, and it's up to future research to sort them out. For now, though, Fannin's work reminds us that our ancestors weren't just reacting to the world, they were reshaping it, one bite at a time. And that raises a final, thought-provoking question. In the grand story of human evolution, do you think behavior or biology played the bigger role? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's keep the conversation going. How diet changes drove human evolution. Imagine a world where our ancestors' taste buds played a crucial role in shaping the course of human evolution. It's a fascinating story that begins with the migration of early humans from lush African forests to grasslands, where they had to adapt to a new environment and find alternative sources of energy. But here's the surprising part. It wasn't just their physical characteristics that changed, but also their diet and behavior. A groundbreaking study led by Dartmouth researchers has uncovered evidence that hominins, our ancient human relatives, started consuming carbohydrate-rich foods like grains and starchy plant tissues before their teeth had fully adapted to chew them efficiently. This discovery has significant implications for our understanding of human evolution and the role of diet in shaping our species. But what drove this change in diet, and how did it impact the physical evolution of early humans? To answer these questions, let's delve into the fascinating world of human evolution and explore the latest findings. The study, published in Science, analyzed fossilized hominin, teeth for carbon and oxygen isotopes left behind from eating plants, known as graminoids, which include grasses and sedges. The researchers found that ancient humans began consuming these plants much earlier than their teeth evolved to chew them efficiently. In fact, it took around 700,000 years for evolution to catch up, resulting in the development of longer molars like those found in modern humans. This lag between behavioral change and physical adaptation is a significant finding, as it suggests that early humans were able to adapt to new environments despite their physical limitations. According to Luke Fannin, a postdoctoral researcher at Dartmouth and lead author of the study, hominins were quite flexible when it came to behavior, and this was their advantage. But here's where it gets controversial. The study's findings challenge the traditional view that physical adaptations drive behavioral change. Instead, the researchers propose that behavioral change can be a force of evolution in its own right, with major repercussions for the morphological and dietary trajectory of hominins. Nathaniel Dominy, the Charles Hanson Professor of Anthropology at Dartmouth and senior author of the study, notes that isotope analysis has overcome the enduring challenge of identifying the factors that caused the emergence of new behaviors. Behavior doesn't fossilize, he says, but these chemical signatures are an unmistakable remnant of grass eating that is independent of morphology. The team analyzed the teeth of various hominin species, including Australopithecus afarensis, to track how the consumption of different parts of graminoids progressed over millennia. They also compared the fossilized teeth of two extinct primate species, therapits and colobines, to gain a better understanding of the dietary shifts that occurred during this period. The results show that all three species veered away from fruits, flowers, and insects toward grasses and sedges between 3.4 million to 4.8 million years ago. This dietary shift was despite lacking the teeth and digestive systems optimal for eating these tougher plants. But what drove this change in diet, and how did it impact the physical evolution of early humans? The researchers propose that the success of early humans stemmed from their ability to adapt to new environments and exploit new sources of energy. The transition from grasses to underground plant organs, like tubers, bulbs, and corms, was a significant milestone in human evolution, providing a glut of carbs that were perennial and accessible throughout the year. This shift in diet would have supported the growing population and physical size of early humans, as well as the expansion of their brains. And this is the part most people miss. The ability to exploit grass tissues may be the secret sauce that set humans apart from other primates. As Domini notes, even now, our global economy turns on a few species of grass: rice, wheat, corn, and barley. The study's findings have significant implications for our understanding of human evolution and the role of diet in shaping our species. But here's the question. What do you think drove the change in diet among early humans? Was it the need for energy, the availability of new food sources, or something else entirely? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The conversation is just beginning, and we want to hear from you. How eating grasses transformed our ancestors' teeth over millions of years. Unraveling the ancient secrets of our ancestors' diets reveals a fascinating story of adaptation and evolution. Prepare to be amazed as we delve into the world of early hominins and their love for grasses. Millions of years ago, our ancient relatives made a bold move from the forests to the vast grasslands of Africa. This transition sparked a need for new food sources, leading them to explore the nutritional potential of grasses. But here's where it gets controversial. Recent research suggests that these hominins developed a taste for grasses and their grains long before their teeth were ready for such a diet. Published in Science, the study reveals that behavioral adaptations drove physical changes in hominins through a process called behavioral drive. This means that our ancient ancestors adapted their diets to their new environment even before their teeth evolved to match. Hominins were incredibly flexible in their behavior, says Luke Fannin, a researcher at Dartmouth College. This flexibility was their key advantage. The researchers found that hominin teeth, particularly molars, underwent significant changes over millennia. They became smaller and longer to accommodate a diet of tough grass-like plants known as graminoids and their underground storage organs. This shift began around 3.8 million years ago with Australopithecus afarensis, a distant human relative. But here's the intriguing part. This dietary shift outpaced tooth evolution. It wasn't until about 2 million years ago that species like Homo ergaster exhibited rapid changes in tooth size and shape, better suited for eating and breaking down cooked plant tissues. Behavioral drive is an important process in evolution, explains Nathaniel Domini, a professor at Dartmouth College. However, detecting it in fossil species can be challenging since their behaviors aren't preserved. We often have to interpret their behavior based on their morphology. To uncover traces of behavioral drive in human evolution, the researchers analyzed carbon and oxygen isotopes on the teeth of hominins and other primates. These chemical signatures provided behavioral evidence independent of morphological traits. The isotopes revealed that hominins switched from fruits and flowers to grasses around 3.8 million years ago, and then to the underground organs of grasses around 2.3 million years ago. It took an additional 700,000 years for their teeth to adapt to these new food sources. According to the researchers, the transition to underground grasses was advantageous. It provided hominins with more nutrients with less effort, as they could easily dig up their meals without competition from other animals. This shift to underground foods was a pivotal moment in our evolution, Fannin adds. It gave our ancestors a constant source of carbs, accessible at any time of year. Meanwhile, primates made the switch to grasses around 4.2 million and 3.4 million years ago, but didn't follow the hominins' transition to underground grasses. One of the biggest questions in anthropology is what made hominins unique, Domini says. This work suggests that the ability to exploit grass tissues may have been our secret weapon. So, what do you think? Is this a fascinating insight into human evolution, or do you have a different interpretation? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.